What's going on, everybody? It's Richard with HomeTech Video here to review a camera that was just sent to me from Andy from Empire Tech. This model number of the camera will be in the description below, but you already know that's how you found the video. So let's go and open this thing up, show you what it comes with. You got your standard hardware kit, which it does come up with one thing that's a little bit different than normal hardware kits. It has an input for you to be able to plug into an analog monitor for testing purposes. I'll show you in a minute. This isn't practical to be using all the time. But it's more for like to test out the camera to, if you wanted to hook it up to an analog monitor, but I'll show you where this goes here in a sec. And let's get into the actual camera itself. This thing is a beast. It is a bullet style camera. Get this out of the way. And the first thing I will tell you, it has some weight to it. So when you're mounting this, just make sure that you have plenty of support behind it. I usually mount cameras, turret style cameras, up in soffits. You definitely don't want to put this in a soffit without some support, or you'll rip it right down if it gets too windy out. So the sun shield is made out of a plastic, but the rest of the camera seems to be made out of a metal or maybe an aluminum, including the black here. This is all metal. That's metal, metal, and all metal. The only piece of plastic that I've seen on this is the sunshade right here, which is adjustable, which is nice. Let me get a screwdriver real quick, show you how this adjusts. So you take your screwdriver, put it on the top, loosen up this little screw, and then you can slide this forward if you need to adjust the amount of sunshade. It doesn't really give you that much. On typical bullet cameras, it'll come out a little bit more, maybe even wrap around the side. But if you're using this for an outdoor camera and you can get by without using the sunshade, I would recommend it, because that's going to keep any type of spiders from building nests right in front of the camera. So if you have this slid like this, usually bullet cameras outside get a bunch of insect nests and everything built in there, because it gives them a nice area to, bugs are attracted to infrared light, so that's where they kind of go and they can nest and stuff. So on the bottom you have a door that is held in there with your standard start key. So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this up real quick. Okay, now that I got the door open, I'm gonna go ahead and slide this open. It hinges in there so it doesn't fall out, so you don't have to worry about losing that. In the bottom you have a slot for a micro SD card if you choose to use one. This is the spot right here if you want to plug in the analog adapter. I'm sorry, on this side. So you can plug in your analog adapter here and then plug this into a monitor if you wanted to do some testing, but there's not a way to leave this permanently attached without this door being closed properly. So this is more for testing purposes. Right beside it is your reset button. To reset the camera fully, all you'd want to do is just make sure that it's powered on and hold this button down for about 10 seconds. The buttons here is to manually change the focus. So instead of actually being going to your computer and doing the focus, you can do it from right here. So you got the T on the left side, I believe, zooms out, and then the W on this side would zoom in. So when it's mounted, you can go in there and adjust your focus like that. This camera is powered by Sony STARVIS CMOS sensor. It is a 1/2.8 inch 2 megapixel starlight sensor. One thing that's really nice about this camera is it has a beast of a zoom. When fully zoomed in with a focal length at 64 millimeters, you should be able to easily read a license plate from about 250 feet away. And this will give you about 75 to 80 pixels per foot. So it's going to be an easy, awesome camera to use if you're trying to use it as a license plate reader. And that's actually what I'm going to be using this camera for. I'm going to do a separate video showing you how I set it up on my on my house to be able to easily capture license plates. So that's enough about the camera and the details and the physical parts of it. Let's go ahead and get it mounted and show you some demonstrations on what it looks like. So now the camera's mounted up there. I will show you. It's easy to adjust. There is a set screw right here, which is done with your typical supplied star tip. Let me get back into focus. Just loosen this up. And then when you turn it a couple of times, you'll then be able to just grab the camera and move it into different positions. Now this thing can go basically a full 90 degrees in one direction and then a complete 90 degrees in the other one. All you need to do is just take this piece right here and rotate it around, be able to flip it around and swivel on the other direction. So going to get it kind of pointed in the direction that I think I'd want it, and go ahead and tighten it down. Now I do recommend, right now currently this is just a temporary setup. All of my wires in the back are just dangling free. I would get a junction box. It is a PFA 121 junction box, and it'll allow all of these wires to be contained in a waterproof box. So instead of putting the camera up on the pole, I wasn't able to get the amount of distance that I was needing to do this test properly. So I put it on a tripod. The tripod's going to allow me to point the camera down my road, which at the end of my road, it's 250 feet. So this is going to provide a little bit better testing for it. Also, I'm going to do some testing in my backyard too, to give you two different scenes to give you an idea of different comparisons between the two. So. All right, so we got the camera set up now for some nighttime testing on the tripod. I got my light on currently. Let me go and turn the light off and show you what this thing sees. So on the front of the camera, there are 4 LED lights that are claimed to get up to 200 meters, which translates to about 650 feet. I don't have enough roadway to test that theory or see if that even works. I have about 250 feet, which I have already tested it out, and it does work pretty well at 250 feet. So I think 650 is a little bit of a stretch on this, but again, I can't really test it, so it's all, you know, guessing on this. This video right now is being shot on a Galaxy S8 Plus. That's why it's so dark out, even though this camera has a pretty decent lens. But the only light that we're going to be having for this test is, well, there's not much. There's the neighbors behind us that have their garage door open, and that's it. At the end of the road, there is a, that's about 250 feet away, there is a house that has a side porch light on. So the next video clips that you're going to see is of this camera basically in the darkest setting that I could possibly get without going out into a field somewhere. So here we go. So this is fully zoomed in with the camera set at the default settings. You can definitely tell there's somebody walking down there. The IR reaches that distance just fine. I have a license plate in my hand, but you can't read it because of the IR reflection. If you're going to be buying this camera as a license plate reader, I will have another video shortly showing you how you can fine-tune this camera to be able to read that plate from this distance. And when I was making this video, my neighbor decided to take his dog for a walk, so I thought this would have been a perfect opportunity to demonstrate how well this camera does in the low light conditions with the infrared and black and white mode. So there you go. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope this helps you make a buying decision on whether or not you'd want to purchase this camera. I would highly recommend it for a license plate reader for sure. And a big shout out to Andy from Empire Tech for providing this camera for me to review. If you want to buy this camera, please click the link below or in the thread to find out where to purchase this.